like Miami.
Miami, 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 Miami.
It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas. And with me today, we have producer and co-founder, capologist. That's a cap, Brian Goins.
I like that. I kind of like that. What's up, guys?
We're moving, we're grooving. We are waiting for things to happen. And we are in the dog days of NBA Twitter where people are now debating Draymond Green. That's how you know we're in the dog days. That laugh you hear, that beautiful smile you see on the right-hand side, it's Kenny Spence.
What's up, man? I know I've been like real sporadic lately. A lot of reasons for that. But I'm here right now. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff. I'll put it this way. Today, I'm operating on like 3 hours of sleep. And it's been that way for a while because of insomnia and all that stuff. But other than that, I'm doing fine.
Well, we're good. We're all here. We're ready to talk hoops, ready to talk off season. Good to see. It's been about 2 weeks since we've been on. So kind of our return. Listen, we took a little break. You know, we were giving you a lot of stuff, and it's nice to have a little bit of rest break. But we're back. You know, we're gonna break down all that you missed. Good to see people in chat. Shout out to Leches Commissioner, Leches Agenda Commissioner, subscribed for 17 months at Tier 1. We appreciate that. And if you remember, we're running our Pride Drive up until the end of July, so a couple weeks left. Exclamation point Pride in chat to get a link to donate. We're almost at 3K with the Le Batard auction and everything else that we're going on. So help get us there. Help get us to our goal if you have it in your heart. And gentlemen, let's get into this. I also want to introduce, we have a new producer, a new voice that you might hear around here. We have Pablo, our intern. Pablo, say what's up to the people.
Hi.
Hi. That disembodied voice.
That's the best we get?
That's the best we get.
What is good, Heat Nation?
There we go.
That's a fucking introduction.
That sounds like somebody from Hialeah. I'm not gonna make the assumption fully, but
never, bro, never. I don't mess with that parts anymore.
He's more of a Miami Lakes guy. You're like a Miami Lakes Cuban.
I'm part of Kendall.
Oh, let's go. Kendall stand up.
This is a Kendall-ass company, man.
Pablo, where can people find you on Twitter?
It's Pablito3 on Twitter, but you spell out the 3, and that's me. I mean,
we love to see it. So you're gonna hear Pablo around these parts. He's gonna be helping. He's gonna be producing. You're gonna hear his voice, up and comer around these parts. So make sure to follow him. Make sure to get acquainted with my man Pablo. Thank you so much for helping us produce today. We're excited for all that's to come.
It's a pleasure. Thank you,
boys. Damian Lillard is still a member of the Portland Trailblazers. Now, we all had theories on how fast this will get done. Brian, we've talked extensively about this cap-wise.
Yeah.
I want to go from Lillard, and we're going to branch out into everything, because I think everything right now is orbiting Damian Lillard. Cardilliana says, is he question mark of Portland? Apparently, Joe Cronin's doing Joe Cronin things. So he's not here yet. And the Blazers are waiting out to see if they can extract everything out of Miami. It's pretty unclear because reporting has been hazy on this, as it probably always is, as to what's being offered or what's not. It seems pretty clear at this point that it's Miami or nothing, right? It's Miami or he's a Blazer until the deadline. And then we'll see who wants to re-engage with the trade at that point. It would appear that he has told everybody, I'm only going there. If you trade for me, I will not show up to work. I will not go to camp. I will not report. That's what it seems like, because every other team has kind of opted out of it. It seems that more teams have opted into Tyler Hero. I don't know how much you could put in this report that the Clippers were interested. Obviously, the Nets have shown interest in a way that they didn't when Durant was there. Now, obviously, with the newer, younger team, they're like a good player on the cheap, because really a first-round pick for a guy like Tyler Hero, that's getting a guy, that's buying low on a guy who's certainly better than that. So that's kind of where we are with this situation. I guess I'll start with Brian, then I'll go to Kenny. Did you expect this to go faster? I kind of didn't, and then I thought it would go by quicker, and I'm a little surprised that I feel like we haven't moved in a week.
So I think if I had to put like a bet on how long it was going to take, I was thinking it's going to be done by the end of Summer League. That was my presumption. There's actually this quote that shout out to Drew_star on Twitter. He's like the master aggregator right now on all this Damian Lillard news. So like if you have a Twitter account and you're not following at Drew_star,
a master aggregator.
Like I don't know what you're doing with your account, because honestly I have him set on notifications so I don't miss anything. Anyways, he actually reposted a story from Sean Highkin, who is a Portland Trailblazers beat writer. This is something he posted on June 26, 2023. And he wrote, if Damian Lillard does request a trade, it is expected that in the coming days and weeks, Cronin will work with Lillard's representation to find a deal that works for everyone. We are now, this is 26, we are now about 3 weeks away. I think 3 weeks since he put in that trade request. And there's been like basically the latest reports that we've heard, and this is basically coming from both Shams and Woj, is that Miami and Portland have had some talks, but nothing that's like imminent that's going to happen anytime soon. They're not like serious negotiations happening right now. From what there's actually a video we can play right now if we want from Shams. You want to run it?
Yeah, let's run it.
Been stagnant as far as the process there, and it's really up to the Blazers and the Heat. That the Heat are the team that Damian Lillard wants to go to, and what I'm told Portland has told Miami is this: make your best offer to us. And the sides have spoken recently, but nothing significant has come to it. And when you look at potential packages from Miami to Portland, you look at expiring contracts, perhaps a young player like Nikola Jovic, 3 to 4 first-round picks where Tyler Hero would be going to a third team. That third team would send 1 or 2 first-round picks to Miami, and they would, add their 2 first-round picks as well, potentially second-rounders, swaps as well. So for someone with Damian Lillard's contract, 4 years, over $210 million left on his deal, for a rebuilding team like Portland, that's a pretty sound get. But if you think about all those first-round picks, other assets you can get, potentially a young player as well, that's sound value. But so far, Portland has not elected to really engage with Miami and try to solicit best offers.
So what I make from that is this. Portland, I feel like they're trying to milk this situation as much as they can for one of two things. They're trying to either get, yeah, no, Shams is a very handsome fellow. I think personally, Cronin doesn't want to make a deal with Miami in spite, because I feel like he doesn't like the way that Dame has kind of hamstrung him by keeping just Miami as the only option right now on the table. And obviously working with Pat Riley in a deal when he's like the only person at the table,
that must be a pain in the ass.
Is never going to be easy, because Riley always gets his star discounted.
Always.
Dog, Kenny, you know how it is when your grandpa always trying to shop with coupons, doesn't want to pay full price for shit.
So that's like the first thing. I think the second thing is, honestly, part of me thinks like Cronin is hoping he can do the same thing that happened to Durant, just convince him to come back for at least half a season, and like just see if he'd be willing to like come back for training camp. And I don't even know why they would want to do that, but I feel like part of me still thinks like they feel like if him and Scoot and all these young guys play well and they go on like a great start to start the season, that maybe he won't request a trade and he still stays a Trailblazer. That's the only other scenario where I see this going. Personally, it seems like that's super unlikely. But if I was Cronin, if I was in his position, and my options was make a trade where Riley gets a superstar player discounted and I possibly lose my job, or I can keep the superstar player, maybe still fuck this front office and the entire team, because you want to play your young guys as many minutes as possible and help them develop. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's like there's 2 bad options. Which one do you want to go with?
So it comes down to Joe Cronin just doesn't really know what he's doing at the end of the day. Because the thing, right? So he's keeps saying, well, we hear the reports about him just going around Vegas trying to solicit deals to get somebody else to offer for Dame Lillard.
What a funny sentence. Going around Vegas to solicit for an
Are you sure he was listening? I feel like he was hiding because I didn't see many like pictures. Like we saw pictures last year with Sean Marks and Annie Ellisberg sitting at like a breakfast together. We didn't see a single photo besides that presser he did.
But my thing is, right, so he keeps talking about Miami's offer, but it's like we've seen reports of Brooklyn being interested in Tyler Hero. We've seen in the Clippers thing, I'm not going to count that one, but we've seen Brooklyn, we see San Antonio. Shout out to Iman. I don't know what platform she's on, but we know Iman. She reminded me OKC. So there's 3 teams so far. We saw the Raptors had a little bit of interest in Tyler Hero. We've had there are teams interested in Tyler Hero, but he's like staving them off to try to get a different deal for Dame Lillard. And it's like, all right, but you can get the return you want right now. You're looking for young players in draft capital. These are all pretty bad teams trying to get in on this. You can get exactly what you want right now. So it's a bluff, and we're just like, I expected this to go right towards training camp, so we're kind of on pace for that. But he's bluffing, and it's a little annoying because there's no real reason to do it. He can get exactly what he wants right now if he sits at the table and listens, but he's just not willing to do that right now.
We welcome in Christian. Christian, you have like a TV or something in the background.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry about that.
We're all.
He's trying to get the latest from ESPN.
Well, right now. Christian's got. We welcome in stat assistant and Photoshop Christian. Christian,
what are the Trailblazers feeding Woj right now?
What is he doing? What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Sorry,
hey,
I had something under my chair.
How we doing? It's all good. You know
what? Nothing. You know what's really funny? Everybody says Cronin. You know what? That just reminds me. It makes me think Cro-Magnon, which for those of you who don't know the history of evolution, assuming you don't think that God just spontaneously created all of us when he was bored one day, basically the Cro-Magnons lived alongside of the Neanderthals. Basically, it's just a clever way of calling him a caveman, which is how he's fucking behaving. So it's fucking fair, honestly.
You know, I've kind of come. So I've been very hard on Cronin on Twitter. Because
Blazers fans hate you.
Oh, they all hate me. And I don't think I was wrong in the way that.
Well, what did you say?
So I just think that people were. By the way, like I think Cronin's acting annoying, but I also understand like, okay, like you're probably not gonna have a guy that talented unless you don't believe in Scoot or a guy like Dame doesn't like just walk into your organization every day. You know what I mean? And trading a superstar. Because Dame is a superstar, right? You know, trading a guy
top 10 player right now.
Yeah. Trading a guy coming off his maybe best season ever. That's, there's a lot that goes into this. What I haven't liked about the Cronin stuff is acting like the Miami package is some affront to God.
Yeah.
Right? Because we cannot compare this to the Anthony Davis trade. Because Anthony Davis is a lot younger than Lillard and was not on a Supermax contract.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Lillard will be 36 years old, being owed $63 million.
Be turning 37 on his
Damian Lillard, on top of that, has said, here, I want to go here. So not only do teams now don't want to deal with, I don't want the upset old guy that I'm going to, because as we've seen, even though Westbrook has been traded 90 times, some teams have to give up stuff to get Westbrook off their books, or Chris Paul or whatever. I mean, you just saw
Gianni. The Jazz got 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. What about that, Gianni?
Not everyone's Minnesota. Not everyone's Minnesota levels of stupid, right? So that is not going to happen again. That kind of deal is never going to happen again. And also, I'm not buttoning up, chat. This is for sure. You are getting full knitted polo experience
ASAP.
You got the Austin Powers. Like you got old money vibes.
I'll button up for 5 subs. If you guys give us 5 subs, I'll button up.
Let's go, baby. Sub it up, yo. And he will cover that chest right up.
I'll button for money. So that's kind of where I am with Cronin. I think that you're doing your job to do your due diligence, but I also think that like the way you've gone about it and the way you've presented in the media is annoying because the one who's making a mess is you because you are pretending that Tyler Hero plus 3 picks and swaps and Jovic is some sort of affront to God. Like, how dare you offer such a bad deal when in reality, nobody's offering a better deal and no one's ever offered a better deal. So you pretending like, oh, fuck that. We're going to get something better. You're really only, because the thing is like, you have to make Miami outbid themselves, right? Because Lillard and the idea of them framing it as Cronin has all the power, it's just not accurate. Because at the end of the day, he's going to go to Miami. He's not going to go to Utah. He's not going to go to Oklahoma City, the teams that have all the stuff. He's going to go to the team that Dame wants. And now they're just trying to get us, because you notice how the conversation has shifted. Before it's like, we're not going to send them there, to now, how much can we get out of them? Mm-hmm. The conversation has changed. And my thing and I just haven't liked how it's all been framed as, well, look what Dame has done. And I was like, well, Cronin's the one that's acting like an asshole. Right, by doing this stuff, you can have gone about it a different way. I just have not particularly enjoyed.
Let's talk about that, because what Cronin did 2 years ago, he promised Dame that he was going to build a contender around him. He's had multiple press conferences. I wish we had that clip too. There was a whole clip of like every single press conference he did at the trade deadline or his end of year presser or to start the season. He kept saying that he was going to build a contender around Dame. That was like his top priority every single time. And every time they tried to get acquisitions done, it was either, oh, we couldn't pass up on this prospect because we had such a high pick, and the offers that we were getting were not better than the number 6 pick or the number 3 pick in these last 2 drafts. So with Sharp and with Scoot, they were supposed to trade those players to get a veteran that was more in Dame's timeline to compete for a title now, or at least become a contender. Not saying that they would win a championship, but what they've done is the complete opposite. They had Dame get surgery 2 years ago. And I mean, obviously he needed it anyway, but he set out that time to get the number 6 pick. They tanked. Same thing happened again this year, except this time he did it willingly. Like, he did it not reluctantly. He did it because he was promised, and this was pretty much right after he signed his extension, because it was 1 year after he signed the extension, that he was going to sit out games in hopes that they would trade that pick and get somebody really good. I mean, at worst, maybe they would get the number 1 pick and they would keep that pick and draft Wemby. But it seemed like what they were trying to do is, no matter what the pick was, if it was number 1, they were going to trade that pick for a all-star player, whoever that was. If it was Pascal Siakam, OG, whoever else was available potentially. Mikal Bridges was another guy that they wanted. They didn't get any of those guys. So they're left with basically empty promises to Dame. Dame feels super butthurt about everything that he's been told. It's just, and I've been watching interviews that he's been had in the past. He's slowly, over years, been kind of leaning this way where he was going to ask out if nothing was going to change. It's actually, go back and watch his interviews. I did that recently this last week.
Why?
His momentum about loyalty has shifted to the point where, like, yeah, I saw this coming actually. Now I'm like watching the interviews.
He cornered himself.
I mean, it's funny what you said though, Brian. I feel like you kind of undersold that he was like butthurt. I would take it a step further. He was straight up deceived. Like, and I mean,
bamboozled.
Exactly. Led astray. The infamous meeting from a couple of weeks ago, which I think was just a couple days before Dame made the trade request.
Yeah.
Word on the street is that in that meeting, Cronin told Dame that there were multiple teams they were speaking to who they had deals on the table to get him real help. And so they left that meeting. Dame still in that meeting, loyal as fuck, thinking the Blazers are going to do right by him. And then they walk out of that meeting and his agent starts calling those supposed teams the Blazers are talking to. And apparently there are no active deals being discussed. And it's all bullshit. Yeah. And so at that point, how do you feel as Damian Lillard, the greatest player in franchise history, literally being treated like a side bitch, honestly? Like, I don't know a better way to put it. Just being openly deceived to because they don't think that you're valuable enough to tell the truth.
They took his loyalty for granted. Honestly, that's what it feels like.
And now, here's why I use the word incompetent. Now, you've made your decision in where you want to go with the franchise. You are rebuilding. You drafted his replacement. And so now your plan is because you don't like the team that offered him or whatever it is. And again, you're not willing to listen to these potential third or fourth teams to get you the return you want. So now you have this superstar player in the way of your number 3 draft pick because they play the same position, who's also making $45 million this upcoming season.
Yeah.
You have to move him. You have to do it.
I love
and these are the offers that are on the table.
Kenny,
and
I love how many Blazers fans have convinced themselves that there's a reality where the Blazers will let Dame Lillard be on the roster, not participating for a full year and not getting anything in return for that. It's like you have a team who's got an active offer, including a ton of assets available to you right now that you could accept in this moment. But you're going to let Dame sit on the bench, and you're going to waste that $45 million of cap space, and you're not going to get assets back. It's asinine.
And I also, let me finish this real quick. I also always see people say that you don't take just anything for a top 75 player, which in most cases, yeah, that's true. But if the top 75 player is never going to play for you again, then you have to just kind of go with what the market is dictating. And right now, the market is dictating Miami and potentially another team are going to get you what they can to make you satisfied with this deal. And you kind of just have to put your pride aside and look, you did all this lying to him all over the years. You traded his best friend in CJ McCollum, who that didn't really amount to nothing. It didn't make you better in any way. You actually got a lot worse with that. Ever since you said you were going to
trade Josh Hart, you traded Josh Hart traded Gary Payton II.
Yeah, ever since you first told him you were going to build a contender around him, you've gotten worse with every move you've made. And so now he's like, look, I'm 33 years old. I want to win a championship. Let me go to this team over here where I have the best option, where I have the best chance to win a championship. It shouldn't be complicated from there. Like, you have all these assets you can get back. You're rebuilding anyway. So this idea that you have to get this amazing return when you have all these picks and pick swaps and young players involved, it's disingenuous and it's just straight up bullshit.
They have his replacement already.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just it's bullshit PR. Like, it's not. Come on.
So let's talk about. You want to talk about the trade package, G? I feel like we haven't really talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like Davis is like one of the best returns for like that caliber of player we've ever seen. You know, they got Ingram, they got a lot of other stuff and a bunch of draft equity. And Ingram is kind of the best kind of player, right? A really high draft pick that, you know, you feel like is really talented. And that's a hit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not often that you trade your superstar guy for, you know, Wiggins for Kevin Love is an example of that, right? Yeah. Where, you know, the Wolves, I mean, I think Wiggins was supposed to be better quicker, or he was supposed to be a different kind of player. Obviously, let's not forget that Kevin
He
Love
was highly touted coming out of high school, and in college he was
rigging for Wiggins.
But people were thinking he was like the next LeBron.
It's just, and I want to be clear. I'm not blaming the Blazers for trying to get. I don't think Cronin's a bad guy for trying to get as much as he can for his franchise player. I just feel like I don't think he has been honest with the way that they've gone about the negotiations. Right. I don't think they've been honest with Lillard, and I think that has kind of colored this. And by the way, I don't think Miami's been easy to deal with, because I think, as we said earlier, like Riley knows, I mean, they smell blood in the water, right? And we're going to talk about the kind of deal, but, you know, they're going to be able to, in all likelihood, keep Jimmy, Bam, and Caleb, which I think is important, as those are kind of like, you know, three of their kind of core pieces, you know, along with Tyler.
And that's who Dame wants to play with. He's switching Caleb.
And, you know, obviously, I think we feel that Hero has to be outgoing because he's the youngest with the most upside, right? Like, he's a good player who's young. And I think people talk about the contract as a detriment. I actually don't agree with that. It's not a bad contract. And he's young, and you have him locked up. And I think that's valuable. And I just think that people have jumped the gun on Hero, and they've made him to be like some negative player when he's a good player. And I think the run without him hurt but like, you know, if they're not picking on Duncan on defense, like if Duncan can survive on defense, he would have been fine. You know what I mean? Like, I just think too much is made out of the run without him. And I think he's a good player. And I think people, and like the Blazers not wanting another guard is totally reasonable. I think it makes perfect sense. Like, we have Scoot, we have Sharp, I don't think they want to keep Anthony Simons, to be honest. I mean, everything I've ever heard was Anthony Simons and a pick. What can that get us? So I don't. Anytime they say Anthony Simons, I was like, you've been trying to get rid of that guy since like the day you met him. So, but I get the Blazers being like, that's not really. I think they might want a wing or something.
Yeah.
But obviously the Nets are interested, and there's other teams that'll be. So, Brian, yeah, let's talk about the package because I think there's interesting stuff whether Duncan or Kyle gets moved because obviously whoever stays is going to be a huge rotation player for them. I think we all have our preferences on who we think would be the better fit to stay. But like, you're the cap guy. How would a deal, now that we've kind of realized that it's going to be a 3-team deal at least, what does this look like? Because before we were dealing with, is the OKC Oladipo deal going to be looped in here? What's going to happen? All this stuff. What are we looking at?
So I tweeted out yesterday, and this is basically coming off what Shams, what we basically just played a clip earlier, what Shams had basically mentioned, that Miami's package would be built around a player like Tyler Hero. Whether he gets sent to Portland or not, he could probably, most likely it's going to be sent to a third team. You got a young player like Nikola Jovic or Jaime Jaquez, maybe both. And you got an expiring contract. The only expiring they have right now that they can trade is Kyle Lowry because they already traded Oladipo. And then you got the picks and the swaps. Tweeted this also out earlier with the picks situation. Miami can get up to 4 first-round picks that they can offer to Portland. And it could be all of their own, or it could be 3 of their own and maybe 1 from a separate team that they get the pick from. The way it would work is they have to get a additional first, and this would be where the Tyler Hero transaction comes into play with as a 3-team deal. You trade Tyler Hero to whatever third team is willing to send Miami back an unprotected first. Easiest one would be the 2025 first, because if you get a 2025 first round pick that's unprotected, you're able to now send picks in 2024, 2025, 2026. You have picks that are going out to both OKC and Portland those 2 years, and those 2 drafts. Right now, the 2025 pick is lottery protected. So it is protected, meaning if Miami does not makes the playoffs, then that pick goes automatically to OKC that year. What Miami could do is they could trade either 2025 or 2026 to Portland and basically just do it as a conditional pick, but it's going to be an unprotected pick because that worst case in 2025, Portland, you get a pick guaranteed in 2025 if we finish 1 through 14, meaning it is a lottery pick that's yours if we finish in that range. And then that means the next year, OKC, you get to 2026, it's a pick, it's unprotected. Or vice versa. OKC, we made the playoffs. You get the pick now this year in 2025. 2026, Portland. Now you get the pick that's unprotected. So you can play it both ways. Both those teams get their pick no matter what in those 2 years. Just depends on how Miami finishes in terms of draft position that year. And then basically from there, you still have the 2028 and 2030 first round picks. That's 4 first round picks that Miami can send out in a trade. And that's without having to help, needing the help from OKC to unprotect that pick in 2025. Now, if they get a different first round pick that's in the different calendar year, that's not 2025, they can still send 4 first round picks. It just would require unprotecting that 2025 first round pick to move it to 2026. Then you're still able to trade 3 first round picks for Miami, 2024, 2028, and 2030. And that 4 first round pick would come in whatever pick Miami gets back in the Tyler Hero deal. So that's 4 first round picks, either scenario, as long as Miami gets one from this Tyler Hero deal. Then you got 3 pick swaps that you could still send out as well. So that's 4 first round picks, 3 pick swaps, whatever young players that they're going to send out. If it's just going to be Jovic and that's it, I still think that's a really good haul for Portland.
When is JJJ tradable?
He's tradable, I believe, August 1st. It's 30 days from when he signed his extension. So we're coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll be able to be trade eligible.
Brian, do you have this in a tweet so I can put this up?
Yeah, I tweeted out this week.
I'll go dig.
And it's the one where I tagged Leif because it was Leif's report that Miami was positioning itself to get 4 first round picks. So Leif's been reporting that Miami has been having these discussions with third teams, and there's been reports that apparently Miami doesn't have potential offers where they can get a first round pick for Tyler Hero. That's complete bullshit. There's at least 3 or 4 teams that will give Miami an unprotected first round pick right now. I think Miami's trying to get maybe a little bit more than just a first round pick for Tyler Hero.
I'm going to be honest. If they send 4 picks and they include some of the young guys, I'm going to be a little pissed. because I'm going to literally be asking, who the fuck were you bidding with?
And I don't think Miami's gone that point. I think they're preparing for the situation where they may have to start bidding if another team comes into play. You have to play those scenarios out.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, okay, if another team comes into play, how's that going to happen?
I mean, unless Brooklyn, that's the only team I can think of that would potentially make an offer. But they're the ones that want Tyler Hero.
Facilitating, yeah.
There's only one way another team gets involved, and that's if Dame says something.
Yeah.
And I was about this yesterday.
If anything, the team that's out is going to be outbidding for is probably going to be Tyler if there's 3 or 4 teams out there.
Yeah. And I've mentioned this a few times before. Well, not on air, obviously. I haven't really been on air. But ever since the Ringer put that thing out, people are kind of just running with the idea of Dame Lillard just folding and mentioning another team he'd go to. And I just don't know if we're talking about the same Dame Lillard. Like, if anybody's going to stick to their commitments, it's going to be Dame Lillard. And so I think just whatever Cronin has going on, he's wasting his time. And I also wanted to mention before we moved on, he has to just pay attention to what the market is. And I wouldn't use the Gobert trade as the example. I'd use the KD trade as the example. KD at the time was arguably still the best player in the league. He is still one of them. And at the time, Mikal Bridges, he did some great things so far in Brooklyn, but he was not that guy in Phoenix. I don't even know if he was a scoring option at all. They also brought in Cam Johnson. Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, he was, especially because like Booker missed a lot of time.
Yeah, guys got hurt.
He started to get some reps.
He started to get some reps. He started to show some flashes, but it wasn't.
He's an older guy too, so that's another thing of like the return for Durant was a guy that you don't really build the team around him. He's like a piece for a team.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
contract is worse too. Yeah, and he plays a position that normally doesn't, play that well entering those last final 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like that would be the move I look at. Like this huge return that people are expecting Joe Cronin to get. I don't think it's ever going to be out there. Yeah. That's just not what the market dictates, especially with Dame's money and his age and him only wanting to go to one team. I don't think he doesn't have much of an option here.
Who would you guys rather keep? Brian, so they're going to be able to keep one of Lowry or Duncan, correct?
Oh, I didn't even get into like the cap mechanisms behind like what their deal could be. But say we're basing everything off Shan's report where the package is revolved around Jovic, Lowry's expiring. You have Tyler Hero going out to a third team, and then you have all the picks and swaps. Then Miami would basically be sending out more than enough salary to, one, bring back Dame, but then still have enough salary also to absorb an additional $19.2 million in whatever players may come back to Miami if that's what needs to happen. Now, the team that gets Tyler Hero, say it's a third team like the Brooklyn Nets, they have to send out at least $19.5 million to trade match. So Miami can very easily help both Portland and a team like Brooklyn take back some salary. You're helping Portland, one, reduce their own salary for this season and create a trade exception that can be worth around that $19 million trade mark, maybe even more, probably around 20 plus. And then if you're Miami, like you can also use the trade exceptions as well to add an additional player or two if you need to. And one of the guys that I think makes perfect sense that can plug into the trade exception that they got for Victor Oladipo is Royce O'Neal. He's making $9.5 million this season. The trade exception that Oladipo has fits in perfectly for that amount. So Miami can actually take back more than just the $19 million. We're basically saying Miami can take back 19 plus an additional like 9.5 in this trade. So like $28.5 million in salary. Whether it's coming from, I already said 19.5 has to come from Brooklyn. And Miami can take in 19.2 without the trade exception. You add the trade exception, now you have more than enough to take in whatever amount of salary that Brooklyn needs to send out to trade match for Tyler Hero. And they're trying to stay under the luxury tax. They still have enough space with, I think they have like 2 roster spots available, maybe 1. And they're $10 million under the luxury tax. If they make this trade for Hero, they'll still be about like $5 or $4 million under the luxury tax. So it's like they're in a good position to trade for Brooklyn, help them still stay under the luxury tax, help Portland create a trade exception, have them save some money in this year's current salary cap year, reduce their own salary. And then, sure, Miami's luxury tax bill will go up a bit. And that's the conversation that I'm curious to see what they're having, if they're willing to even take in additional salary.
Dude, if you're building a team with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Damian Lillard, you better know you're paying luxury tax.
Yeah,
they are. They are. Currently, they're going to be paying with the roster they have right now. They're going to be paying $24.1 million in luxury tax this season.
Could we have a surprise fourth team that wants Nurkic?
We could.
Like, what if like the Hornets finally decide they need a center?
Dude, give me Nurkic all day.
Yeah, honestly,
honestly, Nikias was so.
I want him on my team.
Nikias was so out on Nurkic that
he doesn't have to play. He just got to sit on the bench and tweet and fucking troll people. That's
he is a good tweeter. He's good.
Need.
He's good on Twitter. I will say that.
Okay, I gotta go have dinner, but I want to ask one question before we go.
Go ahead.
What do you guys think happens first? Damian Lillard gets traded anywhere, or he puts out a diss track about Joe Cronin? And with that, I'll leave you guys.
He has an album coming out. He does have an album coming out this year, in the summer. Actually,
that diss track is gonna suck.
His music's actually not that bad. I was listening to some.
Diss tracks are different though. Diss tracks, your music could be good, but you need. Everyone's not. Listen, I love Curtis Jackson. I don't really think he's good at diss tracks. You know.
He doesn't really have a lot of good diss tracks.
I mean, there was the game stuff or whatever.
Wasn't there a diss track between Eminem and Fred Durst at one point?
The game annihilated 50 Cent in a way that I cannot believe that 50 recovered to have the career and the game really. The game was too obsessed with Dr. Dre though.
Why didn't Limp Bizkit hate Eminem?
It was kind of creepy.
You might not know. Jadakiss did 50 Cent a lot worse than Game did.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't. Oh no! So the game picked on Ja Rule, which I don't know. That felt funny. I was like, who gives a fuck about what Ja Rule thinks, except for Dave Chappelle, or CNN, I should say. That's still like I think that's the funniest joke Chappelle's ever told.
I think so.
I think it's so. And then after Firefest, it just made it even funnier.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Ja Rule, man. Okay. Chat's like, okay, guys, basketball.
We got some clips. I want to play some clips. We got some clips that we got to get to.
Tangent. I'm so sorry. Jesus Christ.
Can we get to some of these clips that we have queued up? Because there's some good clips in here.
So let's play Pablo.
Let's play the Le Batard one, I think.
Yeah, let's play the Le Batard one first. Because I think this is an interesting conversation.
This is from today.
And Bosh and Wade did. Do you guys know what the next step is on Lillard? Do we have any projected next steps on Lillard? Do you get on this story? Where does it go next? What's the next piece?
I think the next piece, Lillard doesn't come off as a guy who's going to force his way out, at least not publicly. He might do it privately, but I think all Lillard has to do is just sit there and, like, Dan, I know this is not the answer you want. Just sit there and wait, because eventually Portland's going to have to cave, and Lillard wants to go to Miami, and Miami wants Lillard. So
what do you think the answer is that I want?
You know, something more dramatic than just sitting around and waiting, you know?
Because it's going to get more dramatic if people get tired of sitting around and waiting. The audience is already...
Well, if he gets tired of sitting around and waiting...
He already is. Like, he's already burned a fraction of the Portland relationship. The next step is he burns all of it.
Right.
The next step is the interview. You haven't heard the interview yet where he burns it. Like, the next step on public pressure, because it won't be private. They've tried to keep it private. But what's going to happen when the Heat are working with Lillard on this through his agency is the push of whenever the Heat get tired of this, it will be, Dame, you got to make more of a mess. You got to do the stuff Harden did at the end. You've got to be willing to risk the relationship with that city.
You got to want it more.
Why do you do that?
Well, I mean, he does. He has to want to win.
You were saying it, Dan.
Yeah. He is satisfied with the status quo, 7 seed, 8 seed, you know, occasionally not making the playoffs. He has to want to win more. Yes. He has to want it, Dan. He has to make a mess, a complete mess of things. Hold out.
Okay, so you've gone in the last 60 seconds from he's got to wait.
You talked me right into it. I mean,
I talked you right into the cliche of he's got to want it more. That is your put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is Damian Lillard's problem that he's got to want it more?
I'm not telling you how to think.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. The thing we've missed the most is Stugatz being on the show. Stugatz is really, he's the sauce.
Does Dame have the fire in his eyes?
I actually agree with what they said, and I think the interview is the one thing that Lillard hasn't really been public. Kenny, you remember when Gogi did that interview?
Yes, I remember that. He got fined for it. In fact, this is actually something.
The Toronto Raptors one?
No, when he was in the Phoenix Suns. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Before he got traded to Miami.
He made it ugly, bro. That man, the little cute Goran Dragic, great teammate. He got up in front of those cameras and he fucking made a mess.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was such a funny time because they had the 3 point guards. They had Bledsoe, Gogi, and
who was it?
Isaiah
Thomas.
I wanted to speak.
I don't want to be here anymore.
I want to comment on this comment from Carletiana. She says that his interview can't be public or he can't talk about the trade because he'll be fine. That's actually not true. And this is actually something that Chris Haynes talked about in one of his podcasts really recently in the last couple of weeks. Because Portland put out that statement, Cronin specifically put out a statement saying that Dame requested a trade and they acknowledged it. It's fair game now for Dame to start talking about this trade. Yeah. There is no rules that he would be breaking now because they have acknowledged his trade request to the point where now he's able to actually start talking about it.
It sucks that it's not in season because the Chris Haynes TNT interview would have been the move. Now he might have to pivot to ESPN, and at that point,
he's back in Portland now. He just got back from, I think, Punta Cana.
Is it? Damn it, Punta Cana's the time, bro.
He just turned 33. So
is it gonna be Malika? And then he says irresponsible stuff?
I think
everybody's irresponsible in front of Malika Andrews.
I still think it'd be Chris Haynes.
Where?
Bleacher Report.
Like a digital interview, I guess. Yeah. Oh, I'm so old school. I'm thinking what television.
It'll probably be Taylor Rooks. Taylor Rooks gets everything out of everybody.
And they're irresponsible. They're the most irresponsible around Taylor.
I think if you're Dame, like the person you trust the most to get this kind of information out.
Why not both?
I don't think they would do both. No, I think Chris Haynes would do it. I mean, they have a really good relationship to the point where I don't see anybody else really doing it.
Why is Chat hating on Malika Andrews? Malika's the best. What happened?
Was it because that one YouTube video that released this last week? I didn't even watch it. I don't know, but it was clickbaity, and I didn't feel like clicking on it. But I know
I don't know about that, but there is a guy while I'm watching basketball stuff. There is some guy with a YouTube channel where it seems like every week he uploads a Malika Andrews hate video.
What? Wait, hold on. Why is everybody mad at Malika?
I have no clue.
I'm hoping it's not.
Is she canceled?
Well, I asked this question a couple weeks ago, and so I'm hoping this is not the reason for our chat, but people don't like that she brought up Joe Mazzulla's domestic abuse thing when she.
I think the Brandon Miller thing too. He asked about
the Brandon Miller thing.
So remember how he was basically being investigated because of that shooting where somebody used his gun.
Yeah,
he was in Alabama. They brought that up, and she asked him about that. Or I don't know if she asked him or she just mentioned it during the draft when he got selected.
But that's so. You know what, man? I feel like we're gonna get to this later anyway, so don't even. I'll save that because I have stuff about that.
I don't really care about that right now. Let's stay on topic because I think what Dan was basically saying is I do think that could be the next step where Dame does have to put his voice out there. He's been subtly tweeting some stuff. And I think he needs to do more than just that. Liking tweets too. He needs to do more than that.
People are mad that she spazzed on Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins. Don't we all do that on Twitter every day? Oh, I see that.
I mean, yeah.
I make fun of Kendrick Perkins every day. What do we mean?
Kendrick's lucky he didn't get cut.
Perkins said he picked the Bucks. You're defending that man? Clown, bro. Fuck, hate that.
Yeah, when it comes to the playoffs, he's going to say the goons of Dade County.
What? People are telling me to check Jimmy's Instagram. Isn't he asleep?
Yeah, we have a video. We have a video.
He's in
also.
China.
Yeah. So let's get to that video. Let's get that video.
Hit by a shoe, George Bush style. He didn't duck like Bush.
Is there music? Mute the music. Yeah.
Yeah. Copyright. Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. My favorite meme, bro.
So we're watching Jimmy Butler. doing Dame time right now.
Okay. What time is it, Jim? What time is it, Jim?
Play it again without the music.
I'm into that.
I mean, we already know he's recruiting him. He basically told Pat Riley, right after the finals, we're only making one transaction this year that you're going to make.
By the way,
yeah,
he doesn't hit outside jumpers during the regular season.
He wants Dame only. Bradley and Beal, nah.
They're
Damn.
gonna be so good together when this eventually happens.
I love the fit for Miami.
I don't know, guys. I mean, it's kind of tough, kind of doing the round and round circle on Lillard, and this will they, won't they thing. When I think we all know how this ends. I do think we're in this at the very least until training camp, and then we'll see when this.
At the very least, I think that's at the very latest.
So I really love that one Twitter account, and I wish I had his name. That he does the SpongeBob Day 17.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Krabs.
Yeah,
it's my favorite ongoing bit. Shout out to the Deuces.
Where he's ringing like the cowbell.
Second place, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Chat's asking, who would you rather keep, Jovic or JJJ? I think that's interesting. You never answered.
I have an answer.
I don't know.
What you got, Kenny?
And as much as I really like Jovic as a prospect, me and Frankie were on the stream when he got drafted, and how excited I was with that.
I know you're a big Jovic guy.
Yeah, but I think he's still kind of raw, and having him fit with the Heat defensively and what they're trying to do, especially if you get Dame and you're going for championships, you're not going to be able to play him with Dame on the floor because Dame's not a good defender, first of all. And so I think Jaime Jaquez Jr. is more of a fit for a team with Damian Lillard on it. And so I'll root for Jovic always, but I think it's just Jaquez just makes more sense if you're getting Dame Lillard back.
I feel bad for guys like Jaquez, like Tyler, Duncan, Kyle, because so much of their stuff is in the air too. And I think it just sucks because like these are people. Mm-hmm. And I know that as fans, we're excited, like, oh, get Dame. And I don't want to do that. Who gives a shit about these guys? Because that sucks. Because one thing is like, this is a business, like guys get traded and it is what it is. Despite, you may not like it, but it's a really like, bro, like school year is going to start. You know what I mean? Like what the fuck? If you're Kyle has kids, you know what I mean? Like, and again, who would you rather keep between Kyle and Duncan?
I think Duncan.
I don't think anybody's answered that. I've asked it like 3 times.
I think Duncan.
I say Duncan. Yeah, Duncan. Not only because of the on-court stuff, but you can really get something with Kyle's expiring. Duncan has a couple more.
So
years
you'd rather keep Kyle? You're saying?
No, I'd rather keep Duncan and figure out something with Kyle's contract.
Because one of them
Kyle would be going on this trade.
One of them has to go in this trade.
Oh, yeah. I'll keep Duncan.
But what happens is if you trade Tyler, and like I was saying, you trade Tyler and you trade Lowry, that's enough salary to bring back that $19 million at least, and then you still have the trade exceptions to play with. It's like Miami can get more than just Dame in this trade.
And that's, I don't want to. I mean, that's good information. I don't want to project out right now because we don't have those names other than Royce O'Neal that you had mentioned.
And there's speculation about Christian Wood, but I don't know. I don't remember who the source was.
He'd be a free agent signing, right, Brian?
He'd be a free agent signing. It would have to be at the minimum. Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally think because it seemed like the Bulls are really monitoring that market now because they just got $10 million for the
not Zach LaVine.
The injury they had like a injury exception that they were awarded for Lonzo Ball being out for a year, so they got $10 million now as an exception to play with. Mm-hmm. So I could see them offering part of that to sign him.
I wonder if they want to keep Kyle because they want the $30 million off their books. But they're not the kind of team to not do anything with $30 million.
I was thinking that too. I don't know.
They're just not the team that likes to like let guys go away for nothing.
Well, why would a team want Duncan Robinson when you can get an expiring contract that comes off right away? Like to me, I don't think Miami has a position there where they can get away with sending out.
No, I don't think they have a choice in the matter. I'm just wondering like what they'd prefer. Like I obviously like I have my bias for wanting Kyle.
I think the ownership probably would prefer keeping Lowry so that his expiring does come off the books. Or they can trade Lowry and get a couple other players that are on expiring.
This might be a situation where the general manager, like Pat and Andy, want something else than Mickey wants, and then the Blazers want something totally different.
And then they have to make the trade that works for both parties, and it's probably going to be Lowry going out because I just don't see a scenario where Duncan is in this trade to a team that already has contracts on their books that they're trying to part ways with. For instance, Nurkic. Like you're not going to take two players making $18 million a year.
I think if you take Nurkic, you keep one of the young players or a pick.
You can't take back Nurkic unless you send out another player like Lowry because you just don't have enough salary going back.
And we talked about Kyle plus Tyler on our Bleacher Report stream. to
if
take
you
back
did,
Nurkic.
if you did Duncan, Tyler, and Jovic, that's enough salary to trade match for Lillard, but you're not getting much back besides using those trade exceptions. You can't take back more salary, that much more salary. You use Lowry's deal. Now you're talking a lot more money going out where Miami can take back more, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's, I mean, I want Kyle to stay
I
because
know,
of the agenda.
I know.
But also I think defensively they need a little bit of help in the backcourt, and I think he helps with that. And I think that kind of having they need a little bit of ball handling, especially with Tyler outgoing, Gabe outgoing. They have, and Jay Rich is not a ball handler like Gabe or Tyler. So I think that you want to keep a little bit of that. I know that you bring in Dame, who's going to be on the ball a lot, Jimmy, but I think that Kyle, and Dame's an older guy, Jimmy's going to miss time. Like I think you're going to need a little bit of a bridge, and you want a backup guard. And I don't really see backup point guards in the market right now. Obviously, they have their Drew Smiths and their kind of guys in the G League and on the Summer League team. So we'll see. Real quick, guys, we're running late. We talked a lot of Dame. I want to talk a little bit about Dwyane Wade. Dwyane Wade's been a little bit disrespected this week. So I want the last couple minutes of the show to be defending a legend. Pablo, can you run the clip from our good friend Ashley Nicole Moss?
Kyrie Irving, the best guard that LeBron James has ever played with.
If Kyrie doesn't show up, LeBron does not win.
Same thing for D Wade, right? If D Wade's not on that team, LeBron doesn't
Yes,
win.
but it's different because if you take away and you cut D Wade's role in half for that Miami team, I believe they still win.
Yeah.
What about depth? Oh, now you don't care about depth.
I said if you.
Now she don't care about depth.
I'm not.
Clip that.
I said that they could do it because they had a deep team. That's literally the first thing that came out of my mouth. That he could take a back seat because you had Bosh, you had Ray Allen.
I hear what you're saying.
You had, and then let's not talk about the supporting cast that Miami Heat had.
Mike Miller.
That was an incredible team. He could take a back seat because the team was structured that way. Kyrie couldn't do that in Cleveland. Better ball handling. You give it to D Wade or Kyrie?
Kyrie all day.
Better bag, Kyrie or D Wade?
Kyrie.
Okay, better basketball IQ.
D Wade.
Court
knows
vision
this.
and all that.
Oh,
You would put
Wade. No, I'm going with D Wade over.
Better shooter.
Kyrie.
Dwyane Wade.
I just gave you.
Yeah, he is. Better winner. Better defender.
Better winner.
Better
is not
winner.
A
Better
skill
defender.
Set. If we're talking strictly better guard, and we have to list all of the attributes of a guard, and I had asked you which one was better at it. Kyrie comes out on top in more categories than D Wade does.
That was one of the clips of all time. So I don't want to drag.
I'll default to Kenny on all this.
I don't want to pile on this woman who has her opinions that I disagree with, because I think women in this space get enough shit. So let's not be mean to her. Let's certainly pick on her takes, but let's not say Chad and everybody. Let's not be mean. I just think that there is very revisionist stuff about Dwyane, and I know Kenny has a ton to say. I can't wait to hear what you got to say. But I just feel like people are being super revisionist about kind of Dwyane, and they look at the numbers, and the numbers are not super impressive. The efficiency was something that jumped through the roof, and that was something that they cared a lot about. The defense, because even as Dwyane's knees started to go, and even as the spring and his dunks started to kind of slow down, his defense did not lose a step when it had to be won. The idea of Kyrie having better court vision than Dwyane Wade is actually one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. Dwyane is every bit of the passer that LeBron is. LeBron's just bigger. Dwyane could make all those passes. Dwyane is a genius. One of the best pick and roll players in the history of our game.
Passers.
Lob father, but really just like the way that he would handle the ball, organize offense. When they, the run in 2011, LeBron failed Dwyane, not the other way around. 2014, you could say that Dwyane was not himself. And when push came to shove in 2012, he got the knee drain. He did what he had to. He confronted God and gave them some games that are going to live in the eternity of the league forever. And I just think that people look at, I think people are too box score watchy about this, and they don't look. I actually think AD is probably even the better comp, because that playoff run in 2020 was special. But I don't know, Kenny. I just think that people are being a little revisionist on Dwyane.
So I'm gonna say some more stuff because it kind of came up earlier, and I really wanted to get to it then, but I knew we would get to this topic, so I'm gonna like kind of say everything at one time. So first of all, I do disagree with everything she said there.
Me too.
This is how you know it's a good rant. When Kenny starts off as first of all, we know it's gonna be a good rant.
No, I do disagree with the things she said. Right. Part of that may be just me growing up idolizing Dwyane Wade. I have respect for Kyrie as a player. I do disagree with what she said, but on the topic of her in particular, like I said, I'm starting right now. I'm like, and you can tell the chat and keep beat chat this too. I'm done like leaning into the jokes as far as this goes, because I'm gonna give the real reason why I'm like more defensive of her. Right. So for years I've been following another like basketball platform by the name of Hoops and Brews. And I was following them already when she joined them before the Sports Illustrated and all that stuff. And so I've like watched her kind of come up and become this big name in a sense. And I'm looking at like, okay, people have their stuff about she looks this way. So, but I watched the hard work. I watched her like be on 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows a week, the same way I have been over here for a real long time. And so I saw that. And when it comes to her, when it comes to Malika Andrews, when it comes to sometimes Joy Taylor, even Mina Kimes, I think right or wrong, there's more under it with people's response a lot of times. And it's just clear as day to me that people have less of a problem with their actual opinions and more of a problem with the fact that they have them. And so I'd just rather not participate in any of that shit. I don't really even like seeing it, but I'm definitely not going to participate in it. So that's why I'm always kind of like, I just leave her alone, let her do her thing, whatever.
That's why like I don't want it to be like, I don't want people to pile on her. I just want it to.
Yeah. So and then on top of this, I'm honestly just not really into player comparisons anyway. So that clip just didn't give me any real reason to
pits
want to
dudes
react
against each other for no reason, when it's like the games were different as well. Like guys were asked to do different kinds of things and stuff. And it's like, obviously, like we don't talk about, nobody talks about Magic Johnson's lack of shooting, right? Because it didn't matter back then. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, if Magic wasn't a shooter, I think that would be like a hole in his game because of the way that it's played nowadays. Back then, it didn't matter. So it's like kind of those kinds of compare. And I know that it's different because Dwyane and Kyrie, played at the same time at one point, and there was some overlap. But obviously, the games, the acceleration of the game changed a ton. I know why you're laughing, Brian.
And so, and also, like this all kind of ties into a lot of stuff, including like why I've been gone. I've been exhausted and busy with other stuff, but I decided going into the playoffs that I just didn't want to be somebody who, like, if I'm on camera, if I'm like, I'm not separating who I am and the things I stand on from sports and like being even remotely different, right? And so I just don't want to talk about the things I don't care about. And one of those things is player comparisons. I don't want to, like, I've always kind of, and I regret how outwardly like and vocal I was about my displeasure in media and the things they talk about and the way they view players and all those things. But I had to take some time away to really figure out how I'm gonna approach this thing and like not really worry about the other stuff. And so in this case, I don't care about player comparisons. They don't make sense to me in general. And so they can have that. They can have the conversation. The opinions of their other opinions. I don't have an answer to it.
And so I don't know. The conversation really just left her and became a big Twitter thing. And I just think it's kind of, people are so quick to discredit Dwyane.
And you know what? And just like with her in general, again, it's just like, because like a week before or a few days before, they did that same show, they did like a top 5 scorers or all time thing. Again, I don't make top 5 lists. I don't pay attention to top 5 lists, but she had one, Antoine Walker had one, and the other co-host you saw there had one. And does anybody, and neither list had LeBron on it, right? Nobody, all 3 lists, none of them had LeBron. Does anybody want to guess who the only person was that got backlash for it?
Well, was it Ashley? Yeah, it's like,
that's what I'm like. It became like, again, I watched her whole come up, and it just became like once she started to get some real success on a national level, it became trendy to be like, hey, I don't like this girl. Look how cool I am. Do you like me? Retweet me, please. I don't like her. And it's just like it's corny to me, and I don't like it.
I don't like it either. That's why I said at the front, let's not pile on her, but let's just make it about Dwyane, because it really left the timeline, and it really left her timeline. And
I just
it was the zeitgeist. It was the zeitgeist, Kenny. I know you don't like it, but it's what the people talked about, and I'm out here to defend our man from these sacrilegious people.
Yeah, this is like we got the inside jokes in our MHB chat, and that's cool. But the real reason it's just like I feel like also there are people who just view, because everybody, whether we do this or whether they're just on Twitter, everybody who likes sports in a sense kind of feels like they can talk about them on that level. And I'm just not a person who views other people's wins as my losses. I'm confident enough in myself, and like if I want to get on that level, I can.
You're not a professional hater like me. See, I
don't have that kind of mentality. And
you're not. You don't have that hater in you. You don't have that.
Just like seeing it constantly, it's just I hate it. I don't enjoy it.
Quote the great Dos Minutos, exhausting. Hey. But yeah, so just listen. That's we're back. That's our show, folks. When an hour, it's a good warm up, right? We got, we're hopefully we'll bring you content as needed. We're not the 5 Reasons podcast sweatshop that they are. They can churn out content in a way that I respect the hell out of Ethan, Leif, and Alex. But
top 5 NBA podcasts.
We'll bring you we'll bring you stuff as things become available. I want to stream. It's off season.
Maybe we should get Leif and Ethan on.
Let's get Leif and Ethan on, and we'll have a grand time. Remember to donate to Pride! !Pride in chat to get us over the hump. We're going till the end of the month. Hopefully we can get to our 3K goal. We're almost there. We're right at the line. So help us get us over. I haven't checked since the beginning of the show.
Is like,
Alex says, wow, Alex, you're the best, buddy. You're the best, buddy. Love you. And thank you to the audience. Listen, another, love and respect you guys. Thank you for we can just we can randomly stream with no announcement at the drop of the hat, and you guys come in waves. Cardeliana says OKC waived Rudy Gay. The agenda is here. At Sucks on Twitter is throwing a party.
Are the Miami Heat of Rudy Gay away?
I'm out on Rudy Gay. I would have been on Rudy Gay like 3 years ago, but I think at this point Rudy Gay is he's a little washed. So shout out to Rudy. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to chat. Shout out to y'all. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We'll see what happens. I will be in New York City for the weekend on vacation, so you won't see me next week. But maybe you'll see somebody else here. So we love you. Hey, shout out to Pablo, the intern. Pablito, you're the best. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Hero Maxi.